5, 4, 3, 1.
The pit stop is vital to every race team's success. Pull off the track, let your team go to work.
Outside, clear.
Change all 4 tires, fill the fuel cell, and make needed adjustments, all in 8 seconds or less.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Pits are open. Presented by Speed Sport. This is Will Marotti, your host. Alex Smith, our game and ready engineer, ready to go. Also presented by Redline Ace, your one-stop shop for all racing graphics, located in Speedway, Indiana. Less than miles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, you know, it's been a good off-season because we've had some good announcements happening during the off-season. We found out this week that Ryan Hunter-Reay returning for yet another run at the 400, the 2014 Indy 500 winner. This time, not with Dreyer Reinbold. Surprisingly enough, he's going to join the Arrow McLaren team for the 110th running of the 500, which is pretty exciting. I mean, he had a really good run last year. And watching him on a couple of different interviews, he still has the fire. He's still hungry, still wants to do it. And so it's pretty amazing that he's going to come back and take another run at it. And I think he's going to be in a good car. I think he's going to have a good shot at it. Not a surprising announcement from Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. NTT IndyCar driver Louis Foster, multi-year agreement, 22-year-old British driver, came out of the Indy Next season, ends up being Rookie of the Year last year. Not a surprise at all. Great move for Rahal. And I'm assuming it's a 3-year. It doesn't say specifically in anything that I've read. But Foster's got the ability to win. He's got the ability to stay in the top 5. He's competitive. And he's an old soul. He's 22, but when he interviews, he seems a little bit older than that. He seems, like he's a 25, 26-year-old, 27-year-old. So there's a lot of maturity there, and I think it's a great deal. I think he's going to be up front for a long time. On the Indy Next side of things, we had some news from AJ Foyt Racing. Nicholas Monteiro has signed for their Indy Next program, which is actually being conducted by HMD Motorsports. Last year I think HMD had like 10 cars, and the series decided to limit the number of car entries to a team to 2. So HMD still had all these cars and all these, staffing people. So what did they do? They made deals with the IndyCar teams. Now, the IndyCar teams are operating Next teams through HMD, and Foyt's one of those teams. So it's good. Happy for Foyt. I think it's a good thing. And then I'll just close out this segment here with a very disappointing end of the season for the NHRA. They got rained out. In California, the In-N-Out Burger NHRA World Finals. Couldn't run. Lost the whole weekend. And because of that, Top Fuel, well, Doug Coletta was going in leading. He was going to probably win anyway. He gets the championship. Austin Prock with Funny Car was leading. He gets that. Dallas Glenn Pro Stock and Richard Gadsden Pro Stock Motorcycle, all champions this year because of the rainout. It's a disappointing way to end the season. It doesn't happen often, quite frankly, but when it does, it's a disappointment. And so that's how they finished up. I'll tell you what's not a disappointment is our first guest. I'll tell you, he's a driver himself. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur, and he's got one of the most highly rated podcasts in motorsports called Seventh Gear Over Rev. And the last thing I'll say is I get to call him a friend as well. So we want to welcome back Kevin Krauss to the program. Kevin, welcome.
Wow, Will, what a fantastic introduction. I love it. Thank you so much for that. It's great to be back on the show with you and talk a little more motorsports. Never get enough conversations with you, my friend.
I know, right? I'm still envious of your title when you open your podcast. I mean, that's it gets me every time I hear it. Go ahead, give us the title of your podcast, like you're announcing your show. Go ahead.
It's the Seventh Gear Over Rev, the greatest spectacle in podcasting. As you well know, I had to get the blessing from the man himself, Paul Page, to be able to use that. And he goes, I think it's great. He goes, if I'd have thought of it, I'd have used it myself.
That's good. Well, this is our second show on Speed Sport. We're now coming all over the country on Speed Sport through all fast channels, Amazon Prime, Roku, Fubo, all the fast channels, Sling TV, and I'll tell you, I felt like I was an expectant father last week, waiting to go on for the first time on Speed Sport, and so it's Thursday night, and it's good. It's a good time to be on because we have all the racing from the past weekend. When racing's in season, we get all the racing from the past weekend, and then we know what's going on for the upcoming season. So it's upcoming weekend. So it's really wonderful, and we're so grateful to Speed Sport and our good friend Joe Tripp. I know you're not going to be. I believe you're not going to be around in December for PRI. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, I am not going to be around. But before we get into that, huge kudos to you for the big move there at Speed News and all that stuff. That's talk about a fast rising show. Will, you're on the fast track right there. But so congratulations on that. That's fantastic. But unfortunately, in terms of PRI, as it's turned out more often than not over the last many years, it's like I generally have a schedule conflict where I've got to be at a racetrack during PRI. I think. It drives me nuts because it's right in my backyard, but yet, it's probably 8 out of 10. The 8 out of the last 10 years, I haven't been able to go because I've been gone during that time.
Well, it's we have to pay bills, right? And I think probably racing helps with that as well, right? It
does. When you get paid to go drive race cars versus not getting paid to go to a show, it kind of makes that choice a little easier.
Well, I'm disappointed for two reasons. One, I was hoping to get you. We're going to have a booth there. We're going to set up. We're going to broadcast from PRI. We're going to do some live. We're going to do live to tape or whatever you call it now, live to video, whatever. They don't do tape anymore. Duh. So I was hoping you'd stop by so we could get an interview at PRI. But really, I just want to take you out to dinner. That was just my thing.
Who knows? I mean, I may have to reevaluate my scheduling priorities during that week there and see what I can make happen. But they've got me in, with not just instructing but doing hosting duties for AMG Mercedes at their experience down there at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin during that time. So, and then it's going to be a little bit of a crazy month because as you and I, with the other business that we're running, it's holiday season, so we're in full blown production mode on that. So I'm home now till here in Indy till about the 6th of December, and then I'll be at COTA through the 17th, and then I have to fly from COTA to Phoenix because my youngest daughter is graduating from Arizona State University with her master's degree, so I'm going to go there for that, and then we're headed to Florida for a little bit of vacation there to finish out the year. So it'll be kind of a crazy month of December. So I don't know. I got something that maybe we can talk about that'll assuage some of that. Although it'll mean that you and I'll have to wait a little bit. But that's little breaking news for you here later on in the segment.
Okay. Well, is that your prime when you do a lot of driving? Is your primary driving responsibility to Mercedes? Is that mostly what you do, or are you working with other folks as well, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is actually the 14th year that I've been instructing for the AMG Mercedes. Initially, it was called the AMG Mercedes Academy. Now they've rebranded it a couple of years ago to the Experience because they've expanded it, where they've added winter driving programs to it and these kind of destination drives where they're using, like G-Wagons. And they go to like wineries and these fantastic like country roads and that sort of thing. Wow. So that's been primarily, it's literally my family away from my family when I'm on the road. Because a lot of these guys I've worked with for many, many years. But I also teach for the Porsche school down in Birmingham and elsewhere around the country. But then also Lexus has their own performance driving school that I instruct for them as well around the country. But usually, it's kind of like this little known secret. But they typically start their season, and it's usually a pretty short season. They'll start like the end of March, typically right around Road Atlanta, and they'll finish in the middle of July right here in my backyard at the Speedway here in Indy.
Mm-hmm. So you're driving quite a few weekends a year then, right? I mean, you must.
Fortunately, yes. Yes, there's a lot worse things that I get to do than this, where I get to drive cool race cars fast and teach people kind of the benefit of my experience over the years of racing cars and kind of couch that with the technologies that all these different brands can bring to bear these days.
All right, we're going to take a break for just a minute. So, Kevin, stay with us. Hold that thought. And don't go away, guys. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I should tell you that this next segment is brought to you by America's Christian Credit Union. If you're looking for a smart, faith-aligned way to grow your savings, listen up right now. America's Christian Credit Union is offering a top 12-month certificate rate, probably the highest in the nation, 4.5%. It's a limited time for new members only. You can deposit up to $1 million in one of the accounts. You can get started for as little as $1,000. It's called a term share certificate, similar to a CD, but packed with mission. So don't wait. Lock in the rate before it drops. Go to americaschristiancu.com/pits. That's a mouthful. Let me say it again. americaschristiancu.com/pits. Get started today. Don't wait. And we appreciate them so much for being one of our partners. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Pits are open. Will Marotti, Kevin Krauss with us, our driver extraordinaire and meat entrepreneur. I think of you every time this year because we have here in Connecticut a small not small, but a family-run meat shop's been around for, I think, like 80 years. It's called Chapiga's. And every year around Christmas, Easter, they go insane with sausages and kielbasa. And, I mean, the line's like a mile away from the building. It's unbelievable. So I can imagine you guys get pretty ramped up, too, during the holidays, huh?
Oh, you know it, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, we keep adding new products as well. So now we've got our first ever chicken sausage coming online here, probably just after Thanksgiving. It's not just your average chicken sausage; it's actually going to be a French onion.
I've never even had chicken sausage. This sounds great.
Well, we hadn't had one, but we've had requests for chicken sausage. So I came up with a spice blend, a recipe for a French onion chicken sausage. So, I mean, who doesn't like French onion something, right?
Sure.
So we've got that, and we've got some gift boxes coming out, and for the holidays, and we've got some different things that we're doing. But we're between my show and the business, we're in full. There needs to be more than one of me, honestly, at this point.
Well, you said French onion, and I had these horrible flashbacks. Many years ago, while I was still single, I was involved in helping start a new church. And a couple years into it, we're having what's called a progressive dinner, where the people drive from house to house and spot to spot. And they're going to use my apartment as one of the places for this young adult group. There's about 30 people, and so I decided to make French onion soup. And so, big hit, was good, but I made way too much, and so I put it in a pan and a pot and put it in the refrigerator. And of course, I'm a single guy, so I don't clean that often. And I forgot about it until one of the married couples came over to have dinner with me. And the thing started becoming its own person. The French onion soup started growing. And I was so embarrassed. I couldn't believe it. So when you said French onion, I'm like, oh no! I started having these flashbacks to the French onion soup days. All right, enough of me. So let's talk about racing. Let's talk about, first of all, a couple weeks ago, had the NASCAR finale in Phoenix. And, this has been a pet peeve of mine for years. Not just NASCAR. Anybody that feels like they have to have these kind of artificially created rules to be able to try to make racing more exciting, as if it's not already the most exciting sport in the world. And so 3 laps to go. Denny Hamlin's leading. Denny Hamlin dominates the race. My favorite, William Byron, gets a cut tire, slams into the wall. 3 laps to go, yellow flag, and the red flag stop the race. And they're going to come back with a green-white checker. And so they go into the pits, and most of the guys took 2 tires. Denny's crew decided to put 4 on. Out of the pit shuffle, how's Denny come out? Denny comes out 10th. Kyle Larson comes out 5th. And, of course, as it turns out, Kyle Larson wins the championship. And I think a lot of people were miffed by it, and I think a lot of people were disappointed for Denny Hamlin because he never won before. And I like Kyle Larson. I have no peeve with Kyle Larson at all. But do you think finally, is this something that NASCAR created this system now that you're trying to, I don't know, convince fans works? Do you think they really should kind of maybe go back to some stable principles of the beginning?
Well, honestly, when it comes to any form of motorsports, anything that sort of artificially manipulates the result is not something that I'm a fan of, right? It's like, ever since NASCAR instituted the playoff system, that's when they lost me, right? From that point on, I mean, I've got friends of mine that are in NASCAR, some guys that I've actually taught back in the day, how to road race, and they took it to NASCAR. But even if you look at like Formula One, with the whole DRS, the drag reduction system, it's like, let's let the guys race, increase the horsepower, give them a flat bottom car, cut the aerodynamics out, make them drive these cars.
Yeah.
So regardless of what form of motorsport it is, I am not a fan. And I know, NASCAR's thinking was, well, we can make it more interesting with these segments and all this other stuff. But if you look at the attendance and you look at the TV ratings, it's been going down and down and down for years. And that's why, they had to take a break from doing the Brickyard 400 here at the Speedway, because they had lost the fans after the first couple of years, and now they just brought it back. But again, there is a whole plethora of open stands there, and granted the place is huge, but that's one of those where it's like, okay, are you going to do this once every few years and when the clamoring comes back? But I think honestly, when you look at racing series out there, that produce the best show and the best crowds, you need look no further than IMSA. IMSA, with the crowds that they draw. I mean, at this year's Petit Le Mans, they actually the fire marshal actually came in and said, "You're done. You cannot bring in any more people." And there were people lined up on the roads outside still trying to get in. It was that packed. And even the IMSA race here at the Speedway, back in September was a pretty big deal as well. Now, certainly it's its own taste. It's its own demographic of fan, but they've done a pretty good job of not artificially manipulating things. They've done a good job of being able to draw in different manufacturers. I know that's something that IndyCar is wanting to do, is at least on the engine side, that we've been clamoring for a while on, because what if Honda leaves? What if Chevy leaves? All those kinds of things. But the bottom line is, I think, yes, we need to kind of like, what's old is new again. And if we go back to some of those less manipulated finishes, then guys that really, kind of got shafted or deserved it and didn't get it, like a Denny Hamlin, have a little bit more realistic shot of taking advantage of the string of performances that they will have put out by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. And you look at IndyCar, for instance. I mean, that's where our passion lies. With the Fox deal, you saw an immediate bump in a large, not a little bump, a huge increase in TV ratings. It seems like we've got the wind at our sails, but we've got to do more. We can't just count on the TV production to make it happen. You talk about IMSA. Man, I think I'd love to see a 24-hour race at Indy.
Right?
I mean, they've done night racing there now a few years. It's cool. I've been there. 2 years ago, I went for a night race. I mean, wouldn't that be something if we had our own 24-hour event? And they could do it. They have the ability to do it. And it would, I don't know. I mean, Daytona's been around for a long time. You're never going to compete with Le Mans. But, I mean, I think that would be something that would really be a curiosity seeker for people maybe that didn't even like racing, just the concept. And if you brought in enough things that people could enjoy during that time, I think it could be a killer. I really do.
Well, and I think, when IMSA first started running there, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, and they did some of those night tests. I think back then the initial thinking was that, they could potentially do a 24-hour race here. And they're just, at the time, given the landscape of motorsports at that particular point in time, it just wasn't in the cards to do. But I think as they continue to stack these successes, I think there's a real chance, because you're absolutely right. I mean, they've run it that night now before. It's not, this isn't something that is new to anybody. They have the capabilities to do it. I would love to see it. And I think they could certainly make an entire spectacle and festival out of the whole thing, like they've done, all the parades down Main Street and the shows and all those kinds of things. There's no reason to think that it couldn't happen. It's just a matter of, that series being so manufacturer driven, what John Doonan, who's running the show and pulling the levers over there, can make happen. But I certainly think, they're the hot commodity right now when it comes to spectators, and certainly it's not not everybody's cup of tea, but man, if you love motor racing and you love seeing all the, I mean, you can identify with a BMW or a Porsche or a Corvette or, or even the DPIs, and then the throwbacks to old guys like us that remember the heydays of the GTPs with the Porsche 962s and the Nissans and the Toyota Eagles and stuff like that.
The Gulf liveries, the blue and orange.
Oh,
God.
Right.
Hey,
right.
Hold on. When I get back, I want to talk about a possible triple crown, a new triple crown. We're going to take a break.
Right.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. Stay with us. Let me tell you that this next segment, brought to you by Redline Ace. Redline Ace, when it comes to standing out on or off the track, nobody does it better than Redline Ace, located just miles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Indiana. Redline Ace is your go-to for high-performance motorsports graphics, helmets, haulers, hero cards. They do it all. Custom wraps, team branding. Redline Ace makes sure that your look is as fast as your ride. So visit redlineace.com. So let me say it again, redlineace.com. Go there today and see why champions trust Redline Ace to keep their image in victory lane. Thank you, Redline Ace. And welcome back. Pits are open. Will Marotti, Kevin Krauss, our guest. Kevin, Triple Crown, 24 hours of Daytona, 24 hours of Le Mans, 24 hours of Indy. It's the World Endurance Triple Crown. I mean, I would be so exciting. I don't know. Maybe it's not exciting to everybody else. I think it's
I love it. I love the idea, Will. I don't know if the WEC series would be down for that, because then it all of a sudden starts to infringe on them, and then you get FIA, people getting all pissy about it and that kind of thing. But I think that's a fantastic idea. I would love to see that. For sure.
We've got a lot of racing going. I'll tell you what, something I caught the other week. Trans Am did their finale at COTA. Of course, our broadcast parent, Speed Sport 1, they cover all the Trans Am races. I got to tell you something. I've been in love with Trans Am for a long time. It was the first professional race I ever went to was a Trans Am race. They still get going with those cars. The competition is fierce. The passing, the sliding, the coming off the track. I mean, that is a heck of a series, and I'd like to see it gain even more popularity. Maybe they don't race Trans Am at Indy, do they?
No, unfortunately they don't. But I have I guess a little bit of insight on that, because a really close friend of mine happens to be in charge of the driver development for the Trans Am series. So he gets to work with, especially as you saw, a lot of these young kids like Connor Zilic came up through Trans Am. A lot of these young kids that are now like coming in at 14, 15, 16 years of age to compete with the vets. But it's interesting, and part of the reason, is the cost effectiveness of it, because bang for buck, that's still, even though Trans Am and racing in general is expensive, but Trans Am for the really the cost is because it's not. Let's face it, those cars aren't that super technologically advanced. We're not talking, F1 or WEC or prototype cars, things like that. But you're seeing a lot of the young kids start there from a cost-effective standpoint. They're getting NASCAR team factory-backed deals out of it, like Toyota factory deals and Chevrolet factory drivers that are already in like the Joe Gibbs pipeline or the Hendrick pipeline, stuff like that. Because for those teams, it's an easier, cheaper development series. And plus, I mean, these kids are running 6 days a week, whether it's at a racetrack, in a Trans Am car, on the simulator, at the factory sim, right? Or a short track somewhere in a sprint car or a midget or whatever. These guys are pounding days. So that's why it's not that surprising when you see guys like Connor Zilic come up and he's running up front and winning like almost right out of the gate, whether it's the trucks or, ARCA or, any of those kinds of things. And there was just rumors just recently, you probably saw about the possibility of Zilic, coming in and running the 500 with McLaren.
Yeah.
And it's I
think he could do it. I mean, the kid's loaded with talent. It's unbelievable.
He sure is.
And
he's not the only one.
Those cars are so cool. The TA2 cars are in about 500 horsepower. You get up to about $30, $40 on straightaways. And in the regular Trans Am class, probably 650 horsepower. You got great drivers in that series. Adam Andretti, Matt Brabham, Paul Menard is in that series. I mean, just really, good, great competition. I just love it, and I just, again, I am partial to it because it's the first race I ever saw on a professional level when I was a kid at Lime Rock Park, at all places.
Oh yeah.
Tell me, you'll have better understanding of this than I. You drive so much. Simulators have gotten a lot better than they used to be. Is a simulator going to help? I mean, I guess it's kind of rhetorical because so many people use it, but how much does a simulator help a young driver develop their skills apart from a real car?
Well, I can tell you, I mean, simulators have now been a thing for a while. And the early days of sim was like, playing pole position at the local arcade where the graphics sucked and, there was no motion and, all this other stuff. But as they've kind of proliferated, you see more and more sim companies out there. In fact, a friend of mine that I used to work with out in Phoenix started one that's based in California, and more of them are using them, and they're getting cheaper and cheaper, right? It's a little bit, not to date myself, but it's a little bit like the old, Texas Instruments calculators. When they first came out, they were super expensive, and then before long, you could get one for free at your bank because you opened a bank account there, kind of a thing. So
solar powered.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I have a simulator here in my studio, but the biggest thing, for the guys that can do the home ones, and there's so many kits now where you can build them on your own and you can get the components, but that's where the devil is in the details, right? It's in the components, because if you've got just your PlayStation, kit that you bought off of Amazon for $75, you're not going to get the same feel, right? You may or may not be able to afford a motion seat and that sort of thing, but the key thing for me is the pedal feel. And the steering input. Are you going to get, proper kickback? Are you going to get proper, and all those things? I mean, the different software that you run, whether it's iRacing or, Project Cars or anything that you run through a PlayStation, you can screw around with this car settings and that sort of thing. But feel from a driver standpoint is the biggest deal. I've had so many conversations with friends of mine that are, like Thomas Merrill, speaking of Trans Am. He was the Trans Am champ just a couple seasons ago.
Right.
It's all about getting the proper feel. Like when I kind of inherited the sim rig that I have now, but it's got basically electric pedals. So it's like a rheostat. So there's literally no pedal feel. You've almost got full brake or no brake. When you have to do things like trail the brake through a corner, it's not happening. So it's fantastic, especially, if you're trying to learn a new track. And that was really the first time I used mine, was when I got the opportunity to run a 14-hour race at the Daytona International Raceway, was to help learn the track. But in terms of trying to get, and I had the car that I was going to drive was on my sim through the software, but I couldn't get the feel of a real race car through that. And that's really what it comes down to. So I think the bones of the rig...
Does that change with the quality of the rig? I mean, if you have a much better simulator, do the better simulators offer better pedal feel?
They
do.
How
does that work?
And if you think about the Dallara factory right here in Indy, right across from the Speedway, I mean, that thing looks like the Mars, the lunar shuttle landing module, right? That landed on the moon all those years ago. So when you've got those sims, and you can still spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $90,000 on a sim rig for personal use. But when you're talking factories like Dallara, like Chevrolet, like Toyota, I mean, for them, they can roll that into whatever budget they want and make it work. But when you're, Joe Blow at home trying to, compete in your Thursday night iRacing league and do reasonably well, or just trying to knock some rust off, then it comes down to how much can you afford, because you can sub out the different components. You can go buy a different pedal box. You can buy a different steering wheel. You can buy, if you want to start to work into motion sensors and that sort of thing, you can upgrade to those things. So in that sense, it's great. But then it's just kind of dependent upon what your own budget is. But when you're talking the big teams and that sort of thing, I guarantee you, McLaren's got their own sim, at their shop here in Indy. Ed Carpenter does. Ganassi, Penske, they all do. But you can upgrade the component. I mean, the sky is the limit. What's your budget, sort of a thing.
So all right, we got about 30 seconds left. I'm going to go into TA2. And I want to really get a good feel for it. How much do I have to spend to have a home rig that will give me the experience I need to reasonably get me started in TA2?
If you've got a good friend of yours, that has maybe a factory discount because they're probably sponsored by these guys or they spent a lot of money, you can probably put one together by hand for $5,000 to $10,000.
Wow. Okay, I thought you were going to say 50. Okay, good. So good. All right. Now I'm excited. I'm going to be entering TA2 next year. And
nice. I love it, Will.
It's my speed. I think I can handle it, so it's good. All right, Kevin, thank you so much for being. I love talking with you. I'm sorry I'm going to miss you at PRI, and if I don't talk to you before, happy Thanksgiving, happy Merry Christmas, and I'm sure we'll connect soon. But thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you.
You got it, absolutely. And I've got some other stuff offline I can tell you about that you may be very well interested in when it comes to the show for next year.
Right.
But thanks for having me back on again, Will.
Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kevin Krauss, everybody. All right, we're going to take a break. Don't go away. Stay with us. Got another great guest coming up. We'll be back. Hang on. Don't go away. I want to tell you that this next segment is sponsored by Schaefer Oil. Today, Schaefer Oil is America's trusted leader in oils and lubricants since when? 1839. If you want maximum performance and protection for your engines, fleets, equipment, Schaefer delivers. Their advanced lubricants reduce friction, run cleaner, last longer, saving you money because of fewer breakdowns, less downtime. That's why professionals in trucking, farming, racing, and industry all turn to Schaefer. So don't settle for less. Give your engine the premium care it deserves. Learn more about it at SchaeferOil.com. That's SchaeferOil.com. All right, welcome back. The pits are open. Will Marotti, your host. Alex Smith, our undaunted engineer and producer. And that was a great interview with Kevin. Wasn't that great, Alex? I mean, Kevin's just such a good guy. I really like Kevin a lot. Good guy, good friend. And he does a wonderful job. We'll wait as we wait for our next guest. We'll be coming in here in just a moment. I wonder, do you guys out there, do you use simulators? I'd love to get your feedback on it. I'll tell you how I can do it. Go to our website, thepitsareopen.com. Two reasons. Go to our website so you can sign up for our newsletter. But also go to our website, and if you have information or you want to give me some advice on what kind of a simulator I should get, right on our screen when you go to pitsareopen.com, at the bottom right corner, there's a blue or purple microphone icon. If you click on that, you will be able to leave me a voice message. And I would love to get your feedback and your thoughts on simulators, because I'm serious about this. I think I still have a little race left in me. And I'm watching these TA guys. They're younger mostly, but there's some older guys in the series too. I'm thinking I could still compete. I think I could do it. And if I took some time and really, really focused on the tracks that they compete at on a simulator, like in a Mustang, I could do that in a simulator. I could have a Mustang or a Camaro. I could do that. And I think that'd be a great fun. So again, our website is thepitsareopen.com. Please go there and click on our website, our newsletter, sign up. Very simple to do. And we're not going to bombard you. It's a once-a-week newsletter. Comes out, tells you, gives you some great news that we're able to use from Speed Sport, and then also gives you a preview of the show. And so that comes out usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We have a resend time for folks that don't open the first time. Very, very well liked, very well read. So I'd love to have you do that. Also, if you'd like to, when you go to the website, we come on Thursdays on Speed Sport. Speed Sport gets the first whack at our show, but we also come out on our social media channels. And so if you go to the newsletter, it'll also have a link there you can click up for our YouTube channel, which we would be so appreciative if you would sign up for that. It's free. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is Marotti Autosport, and follow us on Facebook. Always like, share, comment. All right, I think we are ready for our next guest, and I feel like I hit the jackpot today with guests because Kevin's such a good guy. We've been friends for several years, and our next guest is the guy that introduced me to Kevin. We were up in a Turn 2 suite a number of years ago. He's the president of Vintage Indy, and what a history, what a heritage he has in IndyCar racing. I mean, and he's a great storyteller, and it comes alive when he does it. So we're really pleased to welcome back Mike Lashmet to our program. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm great, Will. How are you? Good to see you.
It's wonderful. I just had Kevin Krauss on. We had a great interview, and I know you know Kevin well, and you introduced me to Kevin years ago.
I did. Kevin's a great guy.
Yeah. Hey, so tell us Vintage Indy. I want to know about Vintage Indy, but first I want to know about Mike Lashmet. You've got an incredible racing pedigree with teams that you've worked for, drivers that you've worked with, winning crews that you've been on. Tell us the early Mike Lashmet days.
Well, it boils down to really right place at right time and, just a lot of luck. As a young guy, I grew up over in Pittsfield, Illinois, West Central Illinois, and I was a race car person, fan my whole childhood and youth. My Uncle John raced sprint cars. John Petty raced sprint cars, super modifieds, built cars, winning cars for Jerry Blumby and so forth. And so my Aunt Bonnie and my Uncle John started taking me to races very early on. I was about 5 or 6. Typical American youth, model cars, slot cars, started racing go-karts in 1968. I was fortunate enough to live near Quincy, Illinois, which was a fabulous track, and raced with some of the greats like Terry Trader. And when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go to work for an IndyCar team. And my mother, friends and family, they thought, well, you're crazy. That's nuts. That'll never happen. But I had a lot of guts and came to Indianapolis as an 18-year-old and started looking for a job. Had a lot of doors shut in my face, but eventually one door opened for me, and that was with George Bignotti at Vels, Parnelli, Jones. And it's a long, separate story how that happened. I had no connections, knew no one. My family didn't have any connections in the sport, but as luck would have it, or not, I ended up going to work for Vels, Parnelli, Jones, and George Bignotti in 1971. Wow. Indy 500 winners, and it went from there. So that's how it started.
Right, you had Al Sr. in 70, and Al Sr. you repeated in 72.
71.
I'm sorry, 71 and
right.
70 and 71.
Yeah, we won in 71.
Mark Donahue won in 72, yeah.
In 72, we finished second with the Viceroy car with Al Sr. So
really?
Yeah.
So he did first place, and second place in 3 consecutive years?
That's correct.
Wow.
I mean, we were shooting for a three-peat. If we'd have pulled that off, it would have been the first and only one in history to date.
Wow.
But it didn't happen. We actually finished third. I should tell the whole story. We finished third, and Jerry Grant had led most of the latter part of that race in the Mystery Eagle for Dan Gurney. He had a right front tire go out of balance, leading the race late with a few laps to go. Decided to pit, change the right front. They refueled him from the wrong tank. They refueled him from Bobby's tank. He technically finished second that day. We finished third, but a protest was put in overnight with USAC that Jerry Grant refueled from the wrong tank. USAC, they called it correctly, and I think Jerry got put back to 12th place with a Mystery Eagle, which was heartbreaking for them. It put us in Al's car up to second. Our other team car, Joe Leonard, and the Samsonite car finished third, and then Mario finished ninth. Mm-hmm. Mario would have had a higher finish. He ran out of fuel on the very last lap on the backstretch and got passed by a couple of cars, or at least one car. But that's how that shook out with us finishing second, so we'll take it.
So you were a young man. Like, how old were you when you started working with George Bignotti?
I was 18 years old.
Okay. So you're 18 years old. You're working with Mario Andretti, Al Unser Sr.
Right.
Did the magnitude of that? Did it impact? Did you recognize? Did you realize you were among greatness?
Well, I knew that. I knew it with George Bignotti, but definitely with we had Al and we had Joe Leonard in 71, and then going into 72, we became the super team with Viceroy as a sponsor, and they brought on board Mario Andretti, who I have to tell you, I know you're a big Mario fan, but I was too in my youth. Mario Andretti, Clint Bronner, the Dean Van Lines Hawk, and Jimmy McGee. I worshiped this team. I mean, they were my favorite team. I rooted for Mario in every race, all during the late 60s up through, when I went to work for him. Now I'm working with them. And, I had to pinch myself. I was intimidated to a degree. You're almost afraid to talk to these guys. You've got them on such a high pedestal, but eventually you do have to talk to them, and you realize, they're just regular people. So.
Yeah. Well, hold that thought, because I'm going to bring back the Mario story in a second here. We're going to take a break, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this word from a sponsor. I should tell you, too, that this next segment is brought to you by Speed Sport, oddly enough. If you want to stay plugged into the action, there's only one place to go, speedsport.com, speedsport1.com, for breaking news, in-depth features, coverage of events all across every form of motorsports. Speed Sport is your all-access pass, whether it's NASCAR, dirt track, Trans Am, drag strips. Speed Sport brings the stories, the highlights, the drama to you. Don't miss a lap. Visit Speed Sport 1 or tune in to, as you are right now watching this show, speedsport1.com. It's wonderful. You're home for everything that's racing. We're so grateful to have Speed Sport as a partner. All right, welcome back. Pits are open. Will Marotti, your host, and joining us, Mike Lashmet. I get to call him a friend. He's one of my dear friends. I just so appreciate Mike. Mike, you're so generous with opportunities. You introduced me to Kevin Krauss in the suite that day, and let me tell a quick story about Mike. This is how good Mike is. So Mike's doing a presentation just before the 500 a few years ago, and with him is Al Unser Jr. So I brought our team, all our guys are there with our Spirit of Speedway group, and I'm standing in the crowd and I'm listening to it, and I see Mike going like this, and I'm like, he's not motioning me, is he? So I'm like, I go, me? He goes. So I move my way around the crowd. I go up there, and Mike says, sit down, sit next to Al. I'm like, what is going on? So Mike has me sitting in on this panel with Al Unser Jr., introduces me to the group and has me speak to these 50 or 60 insurance agents who are there. And I'm thinking, how is this happening to me? I'm sitting next to Al Unser Jr. and I'm talking about racing. It's unbelievable. But you are so generous, Mike, and you've done stuff like that over the years. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Thanks, Will. I remember that day in May over there at the Speedway, and that was in front of a group of Berkshire Hathaway realtors. I think there were over 200 or 300 people in that room for that luncheon.
Yeah, could be.
And it was a great day. They had Al and I as guests, and we got you up there as well.
I was so nervous.
We want to see you get a car back in the 500.
Well, we're working on it, as you know. I was so nervous that day sitting next to Al Unser Jr. I couldn't tell you if there was 200 or 2,000 in the room. I was so scared. But I was just so, I was like, me? I thought, he must want that girl behind me because she's taller than I am. No, it was me. Hey, so you've got Vintage Indy, which is an amazing, I love all things vintage when it comes to Indy cars. And so you've been doing this now for a number of years. Explain to us, what exactly is the Vintage Indy Registry?
Well, to make a long story short, I was invited by Dan Gurney's people to come back for the 216th running of the 500 to help run Bobby Unser's Olsenite Eagle, the 72 Eagle. So I jumped at that opportunity. I ended up helping run 3 cars at that event, the historic racing exhibition event that IMS Museum used to hold. And, there were 105 cars there that year, it being the 100th running, and the light bulb went off, and wow, where did these come from? Who owns them? And, is there any organization behind that? And in doing some due diligence, I discovered there wasn't. So I came up with the idea to start Vintage Indy Registry. Basically, just as a repository of information on where these cars were, the provenance on them, who owned them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I launched that the following year at Phoenix at the IndyCar race in 2017, and membership took off immediately. And the first year that Vintage Indy Registry was around, it was simply a registry, repository of information, something akin to the Shelby Registry. That was the basis for my idea. And then going in towards 2018, closing out 2017, a couple of tracks approached me that hosted IndyCar races, and they were interested in bringing vintage Indy cars there with IndyCar, which I thought was a great idea, one that I had never even imagined. It was a far out thought for me. But George Bignotti was the then president at Road America. He was one of the people that approached me. And then Chris Blair at WWT Raceway outside St. Louis in Madison, Illinois. Chris and Curtis Francois, the track owner, got me down there for a meeting. I think it was in November of 2017. And when I walked out of that meeting, we had our first ever event inked.
Wow.
And that was with IndyCar at St. Louis in 2018. It was the only on-track event we did that year. Okay. It was a roaring success. We had 26 vintage cars there, including the STP Turbine Wedge. and it grew from there. The next year we did 2 events. We went to the Milwaukee Mile, and we went back to Gateway. The following year after that, Road America enters the scene, and it's just grown and grown and grown to the point where we're doing upwards of 6+ events a year now. We did 3 with IndyCar this year, and it just continues to grow. So we're working on our schedule. We're finishing it up for 2026, and I can tell you it looks like 4 events with IndyCar. We'll kick off the season at 1010's Motorsports Park, which, for those of you that don't know, is adjacent to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was developed by Rick Hendricks and partners, and Ray Evernham invited us out there for the Heritage Invitational the weekend of April 11th, 2026, and it'll be a combination of Vintage Indy and the revived IROC series, which Ray has just done an incredible job with. I was at Laguna Seca. They had, I think, 27 cars up there. Half of them were driven by famous people. A lot of our members, there's a lot of crossover with our members. Ray Skillman has an IROC Camaro. Scott Borchetta's got an IROC car. Zach Brown's a member of Vintage Indy. He has an IROC car. So we're really looking forward to kicking off the season there. And then 4 events with IndyCar. We'll be back at Road America, St. Louis, Nashville. We've been invited to Laguna Seca for the season closing event with IndyCar. We're invited back to M1 for I guess it'll be the 5th straight year at the American Speed Festival in Pontiac, which is a wonderful event, incredible facility. And in between, there is the 2nd Dan Gurney All-American Racers Eagle reunion at Road America in conjunction with WeatherTech. I'm involved in that. I was the first time they had it. We had 28 Eagles there. We're expecting now upwards of 50 cars this coming year. And then the Harry Miller Club's Miller Meet at the Milwaukee Mile. It's not our event, but probably better than 80% of the participants are members in cars. And I go every year, and I get to drive a couple of roadsters every year up there, and it's a lot of fun.
Cool. And you actually have a shop. You have a location in Indianapolis, very close to the track. You've got some vintage cars there now, correct?
We do. There's been as many as 5 there just in the past couple of weeks. The AJ Foyt VPJ6 Parnelli left recently. That car was sold, and it went to a new home, to a fabulous collection here in Indiana. I've got the Chuck Arnold Watson Roadster out of Kevin Gerhardt's having some things done to it. But we have the Mystery Eagle at the shop. We're taking care of that for the Dan Gurney family, Justin Gurney and Alex. And I've got the STP Eagle, the Sweet Savage car, which Ted Warner and myself and our wives own. And the other car I've got there is another great Eagle, the Pepsi Challenger. I've got the road race version that Jeff Brabham drove, and we store that car for its owner. But we're about halfway between downtown Indianapolis and the Speedway. And, I always tell people, if you're in Indianapolis, come find us and stop by.
That's awesome. All right, we got about a minute left, but I can't not mention this. There is something behind you that looks like the nose cone of a car. And I know.
Well, that is, I can move the camera just a tad here.
Tell us about that, Mike.
So that is a copy of the nose off Jim Clark's 65 winner. I'm fortunate enough to own the actual nose off Dan Gurney's 1965 Lotus 38 Yamaha Special. So we splashed a mold off that, and we made some Lotus 38 noses.
So you have the original molds for those nose cones?
Well, I don't have the original mold. I have Dan Gurney's original nose off his Lotus 38.
Okay.
We made a mold and a buck off that, and we've splashed some Lotus 38 noses, and a couple of them have been painted up like Jimmy Clark's. My wife's a huge Jim Clark fan.
Yes.
Dan is a big Jim Clark fan. You can see part of her collection in the background. So that's what that nose is.
So do you market those? Can people buy those? Are they available?
We've sold several. I've got some molds. I've got some original molds to Eagle noses. We've done some Eagle noses as well. And yes, we do sell them.
So how do people get a hold of you, Mike, if they want to either, maybe you also have a brokerage that you help sell and
Vintage Indy Registry Brokerage LLC. We're a broker for Vintage Indy cars. We've done very well with that over the years. I think we've sold, probably since I started doing that, maybe 15 cars or so in the past 3-4 years.
So can we give your website out? Are you okay with that?
Yes, Vintage
Mike
Indy,
at VintageIndyRegistry.com. Mike at Vintage.
Well, that's the email address if you want to get a hold of me. Mike
okay.
at VintageIndyRegistry.com.
Yeah.
The website, Addy, is just VintageIndyRegistry.com. We've got a huge presence on Instagram, Vintage Indy, and also on Facebook and whatever the other one, whatever Twitter is now, X.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure. I can't wait to see you in December, and you and Dana as well. And keep doing what you're doing. It's great. I know your new calendar's coming out. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'll have a calendar for you. We do a calendar every year, and this is the 9th year.
Right. That's awesome. Mike Lashmet, everybody. Thank you so much, Mike. Mike with Vintage Indy Registry. Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Hey, that's it. It's a wrap for us. Thank you, Speed Sport. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share the show with your friends, relatives, associates, and neighbors. We love it. Can't wait for next week. We have a great show for you. Stay tuned. Hey, God bless you guys. We love you. Bye.